Welcome to Class 1, the beginning of your complete financial roadmap for your 20s. Most people spend their 20s drifting, earning money, spending money, surviving month to month without ever understanding how wealth is actually built. But you're different. You're here because you want clarity, control, and a future that isn't ruled by stress or luck. This class is where everything changes. In this finance roadmap course, you're going to learn the mindset that separates people who struggle with money their entire lives from people who reach financial independence early and design a life they actually love. So sit back, stay focused, and give yourself permission to think bigger than you ever have. This is your roadmap. This is your starting line. And this is the class that will guide you from confusion to confidence, from surviving to building real wealth. Let's begin. And welcome. I'm really glad you're here today because in this session, we're going to talk about something that, if you're in your 20s, can truly shape the rest of your life. Today, we're breaking down your financial roadmap for your 20s. Now, whether you're 19 or 20 and just getting started, or you're in your mid to late 20s and already working, this conversation is for you. Because the truth is, these are the years where most people either set themselves up for freedom or fall into traps that keep them stressed for decades. Let's get one thing clear before we go any deeper. What you're going to hear today isn't theory, it isn't hype, and it's not based on what looks cool on social media. It's based on real experience, real mistakes, and real lessons learned from the journey. If I could go back and talk to my 19-year-old self, if I could sit him down for an hour and say, here's what to fix, here's what to do better. This right here is exactly what I'd share. Before we jump into the very first lesson, I want to prepare you for how to listen to this. This is not a play in the background while scrolling type of video or podcast. This is one of those sessions you sit with, you absorb, you take notes on, because it will pay you back for the rest of your life. So if you can, find a quiet space, sit down with a notebook, or open the notes app on your phone. And more importantly, don't just agree or disagree with what I say. Question it, reflect on it, see how it applies to your life. All right, let's begin. The very first thing we need to define, if we're creating a roadmap, is the destination. Where are we trying to go? What is the end goal of this roadmap? Most people today throw around the term FIRE, financial independence, retire early. But I want you to listen closely now because this part is important. Retire early should not be your goal. Look around. The happiest, most fulfilled, most successful people you know don't retire in their 30s or 40s and sit around doing nothing. They keep growing. They keep building. They keep contributing. Not because they have to, but because humans need purpose. If you sit at home for 6 months doing nothing, scrolling, going on vacation after vacation, it stops feeling like freedom. It starts feeling empty. So what is the real goal? Financial independence. Not to stop working, but to gain the freedom to choose the work you want to do. Let me put it simply. Financial independence is when your life is no longer controlled by the need for a paycheck. It means if you wanted to take a year to learn a new skill, switch careers, start a business, spend more time with family, you could. That's the destination of this roadmap. Now, in order to reach that destination, we need milestones. We don't jump from basic math to calculus overnight. We start with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and build our way up. In the same way, on your financial journey, we need stepping stones, clear stages of financial independence, so you always know what to focus on next. In this roadmap, we'll call these stages FI1 and FI2. But before we break those down, there's one rule I want you to write down right now. Take advice only from people who have already achieved the results you want. Your parents love you. They want the best for you. But after college, the world has changed so much from when they were your age. So listen to their wisdom. Absolutely. But for career and financial advice, seek it from people who have already walked that path successfully. Now, let's define the first major milestone on this journey. 1. FI1 is the point where you have saved and invested enough to cover 10 years of your basic living expenses. Double asterisk asterisk, not your dream lifestyle, not luxury, not vacations in Europe twice a year. We're talking about a simple, comfortable, stable life for 10 years. Why 10 years? Because if you ever wanted to change careers, start a business, relocate, take a big risk for a better life, you could do it without fear. Knowing your next decade of life is financially safe gives you the courage to make bold decisions that most people never make. Let me give you a simple American example. Let's say you're single right now, living modestly, and your monthly cost of living is about $2,500. That's rent, food, transport, health insurance, phone, essentials, nothing fancy. That means your annual basic expense is about $30,000. So FI1 for you would be $300,000 saved and invested. And when I say saved, I don't mean sitting in your checking account losing value to inflation. I mean a combination of 401k, Roth IRA, brokerage investments, high yield emergency cash, assets you can access if you need to. Now, I know what you might be thinking. $300,000? That sounds overwhelming, I get it. That number might feel huge right now, but stay with me because you're going to see exactly how to get there faster than you think. And remember this, your goal is not to retire at FI1. Your goal is to earn the right to take risks without fear. When you hit FI1, you can switch careers, take a sabbatical, launch a startup, move states, and not panic about how you'll survive. Now, once you achieve FI1, you move toward FI2. We'll talk about FI2 later, because that milestone is about true long-term financial freedom. But for now, write this down. FI1 equals 10 years of basic living expenses saved and invested. Now, very quickly, before we move to the next topic, there's a trap many people fall into in their 20s. They start taking advice from anyone who talks confidently about money. Friends, coworkers, social media influencers, even people who have never built wealth themselves. Confidence doesn't mean competence. If someone gives you advice, ask yourself, is this person living the life I want 10 years from now? If the answer is no, thank them and move on. All right, take a moment. Let that settle in, because in the next part of this roadmap, we're going to talk about the mindset shift you must make in your 20s if you want to reach FI in the fastest, smartest, most sustainable way possible. Whenever you're ready, let's move forward to part 2. Now that we understand what FI really means, let's talk about how to reach it faster. Because if you follow a standard path, most people hit FI1 in about 10 to 12 years of work. But if you're intentional, strategic, and disciplined, you can shorten that to 5, maybe 7 years. So the question becomes, how do I speed this up? There are a few powerful levers you can pull, and the earlier you pull them, the better. Let's start with the most straightforward one. Increase your income. Yes, saving is important, but you can only save what you earn. If you want to reach FI faster, your income has to grow now. In the US job market, here's the pattern most people experience. When you're early in your career, in your 20s, your salary jumps are usually the biggest. It's not unusual to receive 10 to 15% raises early on, sometimes even 20% if you switch jobs strategically. But once you move into your 30s, those raises tend to slow down. So the early years are where you want to maximize growth. How do you do that? Here are a few ways, and we'll go through them one by one. First, perform at a level above what you're paid for. If you're getting paid the equivalent of, let's say, $30 an hour, give the value of $40. When you consistently deliver more value than you're paid for, your promotion and raise cycles accelerate. This alone can shave years off your FI journey. Second, invest in upskilling. In the US, many people choose to work for 2 to 3 years after college and then pursue a higher degree, often an MBA, to jump into higher paying roles. This isn't the only path, but it's a proven one. If done correctly, especially if your employer helps pay for it, an MBA from the right school can significantly boost your earning potential. Third, be intentional about where you work. Some cities simply pay more. If you work in smaller towns or low-cost rural areas, the salaries can often be much lower for the same job. But in top job growth cities like out of New York, Austin, Seattle, San Francisco, Boston, or Chicago, the earning potential is higher. Yes, the cost of living is higher too, but early in your career, the income boost and networking opportunities can fast track your growth. Another lever, and this is a big one, work abroad for a few years. For many Americans, taking a job in countries like Canada, Switzerland, Australia, Singapore, or the UAE can multiply their income dramatically. Imagine this. You're making $75,000 in the US, but if an opportunity abroad pays the equivalent of $160,000, $200,000, or more, even after taxes, housing, and relocation costs, you could save more in 3 to 5 years abroad than most people save in 10 to 12 years here at home. If your career field allows for this, keep it on the table as a serious option. And finally, remote work has changed the game. Many people now work for companies based in high-pay cities while living in lower-cost states. For example, earning a New York or San Francisco salary while living in Key, Texas, Florida, or Colorado, can allow you to save far more. Remote work is one of the biggest FI accelerators of this decade. Before we wrap up this part, there's one more factor that can significantly accelerate your journey to FI: a dual income household. Now, this isn't about rushing into a relationship or making life decisions for money, not at all. But the reality is, if two partners are both earning and both aligned with the FI mission, you can reach FI in half the time. Because instead of one income funding expenses and investments, you now have two incomes with shared costs, building wealth together. Just to be clear, I'm not saying get married early to reach FI faster. What I am saying is, if and when you build a life with someone, choose a partner who shares your financial mindset, your discipline, and your long-term vision. All right, that brings us to the end of your first class. Today, you learned the foundation of your entire financial journey, why your 20s matter, what financial independence really means, and how your decisions right now will shape the next 40 years of your life. You're not just watching a video, you're building a new relationship with money. And trust me, most people never even start. So take a minute to appreciate that you're already ahead. In the next class, we're going to go even deeper into the mistakes, habits, and traps that silently destroy your financial future in your 20s, and how to avoid every single one of them. Make sure you don't miss it, because the next lesson could genuinely save you years of stress, debt, and regret. This is just the beginning. Stay disciplined, stay consistent, and I'll see you in class 2.